All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Diaries of a Journalist, day number 2 of these live videos here on YouTube. Yesterday, we spoke a little bit about the fear of being seen, the fear of being heard authentically as we are. And today, I'll be speaking about that from a journalist's perspective and point of view because I've recognized that a lot of us in the news industry are constantly advocating and sharing the stories of others. And oftentimes we forget to share our own story. And oftentimes we're also very scared of sharing our own story. So we're preaching about freedom of expression and really honoring the Second Amendment of free speech. Yet, oftentimes I find myself and other journalists truly afraid of speaking up, sharing their own truth, and advocating for themselves and their story, especially in circumstances when there have been life threatening situations. And I myself have found myself in many life threatening situations as a journalist. And I spoke a little bit about that yesterday. And even though the incident that I shared in yesterday's video is not as serious as some of the other situations that I have experienced or encountered in the news industry, it was a situation of an assault and a battery. And I have had many friends in the industry that have also experienced um, very dangerous circumstances and circumstances where they have received threats or subliminal messages of potential threats and indirect threats as well for their storytelling, for the truths that they are sharing, and simply for having information that could be very damaging to certain parties. So, with that said, it has been a long road for me to sit in front of my computer, to share these stories, and to speak authentically from my heart and from my lived experiences, especially because as journalists, oftentimes we've been trained to really be mindful of our communication with valid reasons and to follow certain editorial guidelines, also oftentimes with valid reasons. And so we are constantly being careful of what is being spoken because of fear of cancel culture or getting fired or saying the wrong thing on air. And having this freedom of expression on YouTube and being able to speak authentically from my heart, not having to follow any guidelines or editorial lines is a big deal for me. And even though I've done it before in my podcast, and I've been doing it since I quit the news industry in 2020, I feel like this is a new layer of my becoming. And this is a new um, layer of my truth after quitting the news industry and really getting to know myself at deeper levels, my essence, going through multiple healing journeys, encountering myself with my spirituality and trying to find a path in my spirituality while also merging it with my beliefs of Jesus and the Virgin Mary and Catholicism to a certain extent, because I was born and raised Catholic, up until the scandals with the Catholic Church and the priests and sexual abuse came out. I have, ever since I was young and ever since I can remember, believed in Jesus, believed in Virgin Mary, believed in Anna, Jesus's grandmother, and Mary Magdalene, and so on. I just recently also made peace with the Catholic Church as an institution, because I very much was conflicted with everything that came to light after the Boston Globe investigations, with sexual assault to multiple children in different cities by multiple priests, and how the church used to move these priests around to kind of protect them and protect their safety after these alleged abuse situations. And so I was very conflicted for a long time with the Catholic Church, and I have recently gone back to pray in the Catholic Church. I love actually going to pray when there is no service and when the church is absolutely empty. And I've been going almost every morning for the past 2 weeks to just sit there and pray and have my conversations with God in a temple where um, a lot of people go with pure intentions to become better humans. And my teacher, Tulio Carrillo, who was a 106-year-old, um, I want to say ascended master because honestly, that's exactly what he was living here on earth. He passed May 19th. He loved to tell me and share with me that anytime that a human goes to a temple and anytime that a human goes to church, they are a saint. And they are a saint because they are entering a space where they are in full devotion to their faith, to their God, and to their essence, their purest essence, and trying to find that better version of themselves. So, long story short, just how I have been able to kind of make peace with the Catholic Church as an institution and just have deeper levels of compassion and understanding that I want to truly, genuinely believe that everyone is doing the best that they can with the knowledge that they have, because I know that is true for myself and that I oftentimes make a lot of mistakes. I'm making a lot of mistakes here. I mean, I'm recording from my computer in my room, going back to basics in my resources and in my technology, and it is a blurry camera. And I hope the audio is good. I am wearing a lavalier microphone, but I know that the camera quality on my computer right now is not the best. And that's okay. I chose to go live anyways because communicating this message to me was more important than the equipment that I am working with right now. And so I've made peace with the Catholic institution, and I've also come to make peace with the media and news industry as a whole. And even though I have criticized it a lot and I see all the faults and all the ways in which the media can do much better at giving the audience information, I have come to terms and made peace with the fact that um, I'd like to believe that everyone that is leading the news industry is also doing the best that they can with the knowledge and the wisdom that they have. And so, for today, to finish up this conversation, I wanted to speak on the fear that oftentimes the very people that are preaching freedom of expression and advocating for more truth to be spoken are also the very people that face the most challenges, difficulties, and confrontations to speak that truth. And I will include myself in that part of the equation because I was very much a part of the problem. And I'm working towards becoming a part of the solution. And believe it or not, as challenging or difficult as it is to hear that, many journalists are very afraid to speak up for themselves, to advocate for themselves, and to truly allow themselves to speak freely and publicly without fear of retaliation or fear or of repercussions or fear that there may be challenges regarding their safety and their life for speaking up and sharing their truth. And I know I have been there, and I will share more of those stories in the next episodes to come, and more of those experiences where I have felt like my life was threatened or like my life was in danger. And it has been on multiple occasions. And my intention with this video is, well, one, to remind myself when I am forgetting to speak my truth or wherein I am afraid of speaking my truth, regardless of their circumstances, to know that I am protected, that I am safe, that my prayers are very strong, and that my mission and my purpose is always to communicate truth as it arises for me to witness it and share it with respect, reverence, and with trust in the right timing for those truths to be spoken and to come to light. I will leave you with that, and I will leave all my journalist friends with the inspiration to always speak up, always speak your truth, and always advocate for what you feel is right in your heart. And if we are constantly preaching about freedom of expression and we are constantly speaking about protecting the Second Amendment of freedom of speech, I will encourage you to continue speaking your truth. So, with that said, let me think if I have anything else to say before I leave you guys. Yeah, I think that's it. And I just want to correct. I'm sorry, it's 11:44 p.m. at night, and I've had a long day. But I want to correct. It's the First Amendment of freedom of speech, not the Second Amendment. So sharing your ideas out loud, expressing your ideas using, your language, your communication, etc. So yeah, protecting the First Amendment. Wanted to make that correction before I departed. Big mistake to go unrecognized. And pardon me, it is 11:44 p.m. at night. I'm very tired and I'm ready to go to sleep. But I promised myself that I would share my diaries, the Diaries of a Journalist, every day up until August 30th. And today is day 2. So I will continue until August 30th. And that is a promise to myself that I will keep. So, sending love and prayers to you. If you are afraid of speaking your truth, I encourage you to do that, and I encourage you to have the courage to do that. All right, that's it for day 2 on the Diaries of a Journalist. Thanks for watching.